Welcome to the Beefy Boys breakdown. This is episode 131. We're going to be recapping UFC Fight Night, Hill versus Dern. And man, let's dive into it. We're at the main card. Prelims, we already went over those. Check out that video on our channel if you're interested in that. But yeah, man, pretty solid main card. We got the return of Diego Ferreira. We got Michael Johnson, always fan favorite. Fialio Buckley was, I think everybody had that one circled for some fireworks. Dakota Lupi Godinez, meh. Shahbazyan and Hernandez, like pretty decently high level fight. You know what I mean? Guys that like have been ranked in the past or will be ranked in the future. And then we got Angela Hill versus Mackenzie Dern on the main card, main event. And I would that was an intriguing matchup, kind of an old school striker versus grappler. So yeah, man, we'll dive into it. Starting off, we got the 38-year-old Diego Ferreira, which I didn't realize he was that old. Minus 150 favorite, taking on Michael Johnson with the god awful 22-18 record, 36 years old, plus 130 dog. I did put a little sprinkle on Johnson. I just thought, Ferreira hasn't been super active. I thought he would be the smaller man, which he pretty much was. Johnson has one punch KO power, never like a horrible time bet. A guy has one punch knockout power, it's never the worst bet ever, right? You know what I mean?
No,
Kind of a
yeah.
caveman thought, but you see what I'm saying, man.
Also, can you see his UFC record right now? Is that visible for you?
Johnson,
Yeah.
I can in a Mississippi minute.
Because I know, well, the only reason I ask is
13 and 15.
okay, well,
Nice.
check this out. You want to know what's even way worse about that? Pretty sure they put up a stat that as a dog, he's 7-3 as a dog, which would mean that he's 6-12 when he's the favorite or a pick'em.
Yeah, that's the thing with Michael Johnson, right? Like every time you like get a little bit of expectations for him, he'll let you down. But every time you write him off, he'll get 50 grand. Like that's just the story of his career,
And
And
that's super unfortunate for me because I sold myself on him beating Diego Ferreira. Like I actually thought like Michael Johnson
me
will
too.
probably be able to catch him early because Ferreira will make the mistake and Michael Johnson will have enough speed and power. Because dude, he always looks so good for 5 minutes, and then when he hits the 6 minute mark, like that first minute out of the second round, after that he's done. He's just a shell. He loses his speed. He starts getting tagged, and he's done.
I mean, essentially what happened. I mean, because in round one, I gave it to him 10-9 Michael Johnson. I thought he landed the cleaner, harder strikes. Whenever Johnson would land, Ferreira would have these like big reactions, and like sometimes he would like try to like be cool guy reaction, but either way, it was like getting a reaction out of him every time Johnson would land, which we know how hard Johnson can land in the first 5 minutes, so it makes sense there. But and yeah, I mean, so I like Johnson's work in one. I gave round one to Johnson, which is lockstep with what you said happens every time. He looks good early.
I also scored it to Johnson. You know what I'm starting to think too is if he stays in the UFC, I mean, if we're ever at a point where we can live bet, obviously just live bet his
Oh,
opponent after
second
round one
round live bet,
for his
fade.
opponent.
Second round live bet fade on
Yeah,
Johnson.
fade Johnson every second round live. That's actually
That's
one of the.
smart.
That's a.
Next time you're out here,
Ooh.
we'll hit the sports book.
Yeah, that's
We'll have to
a.
do that.
That's yeah. I'll make it. I'll make it within the next year just so we can do that because I think that's a killer take.
I've never done it. That would be fun. Yeah, I think there's money to be won there for sure as a better. But god damn, we got to get to the second round. I mean, this is one of the KOs of the year.
Oh,
I
for
mean,
sure.
for sure.
I have in my
mean,
notes KO of the year contender. Very frightening. Very frightening.
yeah,
Huge
yeah.
overhand right. Just cleanly connects to Johnson's jaw. And I mean, dude, he like fell like into a coffin. Like there's gonna be memes where he's like falling through the earth. You know what I'm saying?
Skip on the way down, which is like worst case scenario. Yeah, it looked like he got hit with like a Harry Potter spell and like fucking locked up and just
And then
fell
and then
backwards. Like,
Ferreira hit him with another one, did he not?
yeah, he and Garner steeping him for sure.
Which was like super fucked. I was like, dude, he's stiff. Like, why did you throw that one?
You could tell he regretted it, which I guess if you say that gives it a pass or whatever, it's a violent sport, whatever. I don't think it needs a pass, but like, I think he just was in the heat of the moment, playing through the whistle, as us footballers like to say. And he ended up kind of cradling his head, and you could
I
tell he was
saw
like,
that.
"Fuck!" Like
I
this guy's
saw
in a
that.
bad way. So don't want to be too harsh on him. I think he realized that he's probably gonna be harder on himself than we ever could be. He got that kind of vibe, kind of regretted it, seemed like. But fucking A, Ferreira's back, I guess, because, I mean, when he left, he was, like, ranked in, like, 14, 15 or something like that. And let's see here. He last fought Gamrot in 2021. So, I mean, a year and a half off. It was December of 2021. So, a year and a half off. Lost to Gamrot. But he was on a 3L streak. But, I mean, he lost to Dariush, Gillespie, and Gamrot. That's hard to be too mad at.
Because he was, like, number, like, 12, then 13, then 15.
Yeah,
like, they just held him right there as a gatekeeper.
And I think he needs to go back to that gatekeeper spot. I'm not saying he's a world beater, but, like, I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't know. I mean, let's go to the lightweight rankings right now and, like, see, like, what that looks like. Lightweight rankings.
No, bro. I think Drew Dober sleeps Ferreira, and he's not ranked.
Oh, but that's an awesome fight, though. I'm here for that.
Great fight. I'm saying.
I like that level. Like, I mean, Moicano, Favola, maybe even a Hooker. Those are all fights I'd be down to watch. Like, I'm not saying. I mean, this isn't me like trying to give him favorable matchups. I don't want to see Ferreira climb the ranks, but I think he's just that level of fighter. Like, I think those are all compelling matchups.
Has he fought Brad Riddell? That could be a really fun fight too.
Yeah, actually, I don't hate that. Let me look right now. Going to Topology. Beat Anthony Pettis. That's a good win. I think that's what got him on the scene. No, fought Dustin Poirier back in the day though. That's wild. He fought Dariush twice. Lost to Dariush twice. That's wild too.
It's wild they made Dariush fight through him twice.
Yeah, they just hate.
They just hate him so bad.
But no, to your point, he's never fought that guy, so that might be a great matchup moving forward. But yeah, I think Ferreira is like a top, potentially on his best day, like a top 13 guy in the world. You know what I mean? I don't think he's the best guy in the world. I don't think he's bad. Obviously, loses to the top end guys, beats the Michael Johnsons of the world. I mean,
I 100% agree. It's shameful that you went from a high noon to a truly, but with that, we can keep it pushing.
Yeah, no, downgrade for sure. The high noons at the store, the tall can was like $5.
Yeah, they're expensive as hell.
A little steep, so I was just like, surely will do for number 2. But before that, I had a Twisted Tea Light, which I'm pretty stoked on because I always thought
you just got all the tall boys. You're just collecting tall boys 6-packs out
tall
there.
Tall can master, dude. Tall can master. But Twisted Tea Light, because the regular Twisted Teas are so sugary.
Yeah.
That I'm here for a Twisted Tea Light too. So I'm stoked. That was my first time seeing it. I had to test it out. But yeah, no, agreed. Truly saved the worst for last.
I'm gonna need tall boy long drinks in your hand.
I've never seen one. I would maybe just bust an actual nut if I ever did see one. Like because I always have to buy 6-packs, and the 6-packs are anywhere from like $11 to $14. It's like, dude, if I could just go buy 2 long drink tall boys, I'd be set for the night.
2 long drink tall boys, 2 for $7. Is that the deal you're looking for?
That's what I need in my life, bro. That's what I need in my life. Dead ass, like literally. No, for sure. But man, up next we got like I said, the fight that we all had circled. Man, I thought this could have been higher on the card. I was super stoked on this one. We have 2 guys that are kill or be killed. Sounds a little cliche, but I mean, no other way to summarize this matchup. I mean, this was a treat for the fans. I mean, this was a heater matchup. Now we can get to I don't think it panned out. I mean, to be as exciting of a war as we thought it might be. Obviously, we got a highlight out of it, but I don't know. We got Andre Fialho plus 180 taking on Buckley minus 210. I picked Fialho. I wasn't super bullish on it, but before this fight, I had this idea that Fialho and Buckley are the same guy. So if they're the same guy, I'm going to take the value. Now, that was my logic. Proved to not necessarily be the case, but very similar style fighters.
I think the stark difference is that Buckley is more athletic and maybe more aggressive.
Way more athletic, and honestly, we keep it's hard to say we're sleeping on the kicks, but at least personally, my mind's eye, when I think of Joaquin Buckley, I think of him landing a big bomb punch. He's a kicker.
He throws a shit ton of kicks.
He's a kicker. And I don't think he's necessarily viewed that way, which after now he probably is. I know the highlight. I know that he's known for the big kick highlight, but just I don't know, maybe I'm alone there. I don't know. How do you feel about that take? Like, I just like every time Buckley fights, I'm like reminded, like, oh yeah, this guy's kicks are like you could say world class.
I've been trying to figure out Buckley for a long time. Like since he fought
Yeah,
Kevin Holland, like for a long
yeah,
time, right?
he's a puzzle.
Here's what I think I've finally come down on the side of. After listening to him on Joe Rogan's podcast, I learned a lot, right? And he even admitted to it after this fight, which is that finally moved down to 170 from 185.
Yeah.
He used to be able to eat like McDonald's the day of his weigh-ins and shit, or the day before, and like literally
Which
said
is
he would just
just
like eat
dumb.
trash and stuff, and then you have to try to make weight. Could literally like hydrate or like just literally cut out water like the night before, and like cut enough weight, like 4 or 5 pounds. So like, he was literally walking like 190, fighting at 185. So now he's fighting at 170, walking around like 195, because he said he replaced it with even some more healthy muscle, which is crazy because he's always been shredded as hell. And like now he's like shredded in like a way where it's like not like a like he used to be like thick football player shredded. Now he looks like
he looks like a fighter now.
Now he looks
he looks
shredded,
like a fighter now.
Which is a
I agree.
way big difference. And you can tell like in his fighting, he looked a lot better. Like he has more of a Leon Edwards body at welterweight. It's really, really good for him.
Leon Edwards doesn't have them tits though.
He kind of does.
Tits?
If you look at Leon Edwards, he kind of does.
No, but Buckley's tits are.
Buckley's tits are. I mean, they're D cups. Like they're Yoel Romero. They're Paulo Costa. They're tits.
Tits of the year for sure. Round one, Buckley kind of relied on the wrestling a little bit. Got himself a couple takedowns, which I thought was really smart because there was no. That's why I said I was kind of tripping on saying Fialho and Buckley were the same guy. Kicks are way better from Buckley. Wrestling way better than Buckley. They're both like to stand and bang, but Buckley's definitely more well-rounded. Now, these are obviously hindsight 2020 takes, but not really. I just kind of overlooked it. I kind of was sleeping on Buckley's like skill set because he does have these losses, and it's like I'm not trying to say he's the perfect fighter, but he's got power in the hands. He's got like you could argue world-class kicks. He's got above-average wrestling
and good scrambling ability too. Like he's pretty good in the scramble.
I think he's getting better. Like he's taking these losses the right way. He's learned from them. He's gotten better from them. He's not like, tail between his legs, which he does have like almost like a cornerback mentality of like Joaquin Buckley's clearly not the best 185 or 70 pounder on
But
earth.
he would tell you he is every time.
Can't tell him that. Good luck telling him that.
Yeah.
Which like he's kind of the mentality you got to have. Like a lot of NFL corners have that mentality. Like
he's Josh Norman. He's a system cornerback.
Yeah, but like,
But don't tell him that, you know what I'm saying?
Anybody who's ever known a defensive back in real life knows exactly what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Cornerback mentality.
It's that you think you're the best player on the field at every single moment that you're on the field. And it's like,
doesn't have to be true.
At no moment are you.
Truth is like irrelevant, but like you got to believe that. Like if he has 100%. That, which I think is like a dope mentality. We're kind of making it sound funny, but it really is like for an athlete, you want it has its perks.
So, did you score the first round to him?
I sure did.
I did as well.
I do have in my notes that like Fialho, like as the round went on, started to figure out that timing, started to crack Buckley a little bit, but I don't think it was anything that like overshadowed Buckley's body of work.
So I did write really close round. I did go Buckley 10-9. 2 judges did go to Fialho though.
2 is tough for me.
I know. I thought 1 to Fialho, 2 to Buckley would make me feel a lot better.
Yeah, I agree.
That's a semantics argument, as we'll get to round 2. But
and ends up not mattering at all because, ladies and gentlemen, we get another Buckley head kick knockout. This one was sweeter because, like, it was honestly like a little less spooky, right?
It was
like,
more skillfully set up.
Yeah, what you love to see from a young guy. He's progressing. He's growing before our eyes. Now, who knows what the ceiling ends up being, but he's doing his job. His job is to get better at fighting, and he's doing it. You know what I mean? So
I also think he's going to be able to bully his way through some situations at welterweight that he absolutely could not have done at middleweight. And he's going to be
because at middleweight he would get like taken down and held down. There ain't no 70-pounder. I mean, I don't want to say no 70-pounder, but like vast majority of like, especially the level of 70-pounders he's going to be fighting, they ain't holding him down.
Yeah, I mean, I fully agree with that. I would even go as far as to say, I mean, if we're going to look at like rankings here real fast for old Buckley,
While you look that up, I'll just dive into the finish a little bit more, a little deeper. You got the left high kick, and I wanted to dive into the kind of what I determined was bullshit that that referee pulled. So, was it
Oh,
Montalvo, if I'm not
it was
mistaken?
Kerry
Who I've
Hatley.
always
It was
Kerry Hatley.
Yeah.
He
Whiffed the
so I thought he
stoppage bad.
yes, he like half-ass stopped it,
Yeah,
like he
like
got
kind of
close, but
stopped
he
it
did
and
not
then
like
didn't stop it, and then like made Fialho get beat up for nothing.
I didn't like the push to Buckley's chest there. Like, I'm not saying it like hurt him or anything, but it was a little disrespectful whenever like, hey, bro, like I as a viewer, I couldn't tell if he was stopping the fight. So not to mention if I'm adrenaline, I'm literally in the middle of beating a guy's ass and like you're kind of pussyfooting around on the stoppage. Like me sitting on my ass drinking long drinks, I couldn't tell if he was stopping it or not. It kind of looked like that scenario where they get real close, like I'm about to stop it,
Yeah.
but then he acted like Buckley was being some asshole, and he pushes Buckley in the chest. Like that could have got dicey. That'd tell you, Buckley's a good dude because like you can't push too many UFC fighters in the chest like that. Like they're in the middle of knocking somebody out. Like
Well, and
that's a dangerous like proposition.
if I'm thinking of it right, that's the one where Fialho like looks at the ref too and is like essentially looking at him like, are you stopping it or not? Like he couldn't tell either.
Nobody knew.
He was super fucked up, and he still
knew.
couldn't tell. He was like, "Do I defend right now? Like, what are you doing?"
I couldn't tell as a fan. Neither fighter could tell. I don't think the ref really knew either. He tried to like overcorrect, I thought, when he pushed Buckley and like, but like in the moment,
here's the problem too is that like he started to jump in right after that first like big head kick. He started to jump in, and then he kind of stood there, and then Buckley landed like two big ground shots, and then he jumped in,
and then he acted like Buckley.
And then like jumped in and then like pushed him. Yeah, and was like, "Why are you hitting him on the ground?" It's like, "Because you didn't jump in.
You didn't stop the fight properly." No, I agree, dude. I like actually didn't love seeing that. It was I didn't love that.
It was just whiffing. Like that's not how a fight gets stopped. It's just
he like fumbled like three different part of his job. Like
that's what I'm saying. Like no part of it was correct. That's just not how a fight.
Bad
gets
look.
stopped.
Like I'm out on Kerry Hatley until proven otherwise. Like that was a bad look on Kerry Hatley. Not a fan. Like no, I think you were gonna like look up Buckley potential matchups or something.
Yeah, and I don't love it for him at 70. Michel Pajeda, that's a fun fight for Buckley, especially with like the crazy kicks and the athleticism. Like they are actually.
I think he's booked against Wonder Boy, so I think like if he loses to Wonder Boy, that fight could be a reality, if I'm not mistaken.
Agreed. Now here's what I was gonna say is that man, Ian Gary, Della Maddalena, and Chiesa. I mean, there's no shot. I don't think he's getting any of those guys.
Chiesa's fighting Holland.
Right, and Gary's called out Magny, and Della Maddalena is going to call out like Luque or someone, I'm sure.
Chiesa beats Holland. They're not going to make him fight back, I don't think, because he's already fighting back. It's a tough spot. Is Luque matched up? I'm going to look up something real quick.
That's a big jump. I thought Della Maddalena and Luque were going to fight.
I think you might be right. And I don't hate that. I know Della Maddalena's booked. So it looks like he's getting another unranked guy. Honestly, I mean, it's hard to find a like. I mean, I know I've thrown Semmelsberger out all the time, but like Buckley Semmelsberger, you can't tell me that's not awesome.
I mean, that does sound awesome. I can't lie to you.
You can't tell me it ain't. So, I mean, I'm a Semmelsberger mark, obviously, but also real quick while we're I just wanted to give a shout out. So I went to watch some King of the Cage fights down at the Silver Legacy here in downtown Reno, and it was sick, dude. I've been watching live MMA in since 2016, 2015, somewhere in there. And I gotta say, dude, King of the Cage, like for a small time promotion, like does a good job. Like the walkouts and they have the fucking like cameras, like the screens up in the room. And
I mean, I'm pretty sure there's been UFC fighters that have come from King of the Cage promotions, like plenty, actually.
No, for sure. Yeah, no, for sure. And like they've been doing it a long time, but like they did a good job. They put on a good show. Every fight I watched, it was like they called it like Future Legends card or whatever. It was like amateurs. But man, there was this flyweight, this kid, and I tried to look him up. Like unfortunately, he has like kind of like a very common name. His name is Luis Lopez. and there's this flyweight, and he looks young. He may not be that, but he looks like he's like 18, and it's an amateur fight, so he very well could be. But this guy was a dog. They were jerking the curtain. First fight of the night, kind of low expectations, right? Jerking the curtain. It was the best fight of the whole night. It was like, I think it was a catchweight 130. 3-round war where like both guys like overcame adversity, like an actual war. And I don't know Nevada's rules. I think in some states they make amies wear headgear and shin guards. There was none of that. It was full blown, like just like 4-ounce gloves, no headgear, no shin guards, nothing.
Damn, that's tight.
So it was like real MMA. It was sick. And I mean, there were scrambles, there was exchanges, there was cage work, there was groundwork. I mean, it was a heater. This guy Louis Lopez won the fucking ended up winning the decision. But man, I just wanted to. I don't know if this clip will somehow ever make its way to Louis Lopez, who fought at the King of the Cage, Silver Legacy. But like, hats off to you, sir. Best performance of the whole night. Like even there was 2 championship fights. This fight was way better. This guy's a dog. Like, I think he has like an actual future because like he showed skills. He's so young, flyweight, can scramble, can strike, has a chin, ate some bombs. Guy's a dog. Cardio not an issue at all. 3 rounds hard. Like, dude, I just wanted to shout that guy out. And really all the fighters, they did a good job. Some of the matchmaking was kind of piss poor, whatever. That first fight of the night, though, Louis Lopez, I don't even know that he beat a local guy, I think, because like the crowd was not stoked when he won. Like, I didn't have like a horse in the race, and I was just there to be entertained. Guy's a dog.
Hey,
sorry, just had to shout him out.
Speaking of which, shout out to all the real dogs out there. Now, I will say, Emily Ducote, I could describe as a dog for her ability to eat shots, but I don't know that that's
so
necessarily a good thing to say.
She's one of the only UFC fighters who reps Oklahoma City, reps the 405. I got 405 tatted on my bicep. Like, I want to be a fan so much.
Like,
and
she reps it hard too, like American Top Team. Like, I have a buddy, Carlos, that trains there. Like, he said she's there like literally every day.
I know, so like I want to be a fan, but goddamn, you start watching her fight, it's like you start rooting for the other girl. Like, fuck, it makes me an asshole.
Yeah, it's real. It's conflicting. It's tough. It's also that I like.
Well, especially if she's fighting Lupe Godinez. I like Lupe Godinez.
That's my problem. Is that like it's not that I don't. It's not that I hate Emily Ducote. It's that like I like Lupe Godinez, and I don't necessarily love Emily Ducote. I mean, to be fair, like,
I believe in Godinez's I believe in Godinez's future. Like, I think she can make waves in this division.
Well, yeah, and I think getting into it because I think the first round is a good example of why that's the case, right? Like, Godinez minus 145. Probably.
Dude, can you believe Godinez has fought 8 times in the UFC? I feel like she just debuted.
No way! I thought this was like her 4th fight.
She's 5-3 in the UFC.
She probably fought 4 times this year, honestly, like calendar year. Like, they're 365 days.
She's fought twice in 2023 already.
Jesus Christ.
2022 and 5 times in 2021. So, yeah, absolute dog.
Absolute dog.
Also, just looking at her Tapology, has a win over Demopoulos in LFA. Her last fight before she came to the UFC, so that's pretty dope.
Definitely helpful. She's definitely fighting. I mean, if you think about this, man, this is the feature bout on a UFC Fight Night, so kind of the test.
Well, she has a win over one of the headliners, Angela Hill. Win over Angela Hill.
Oh, yeah.
That's lost to Angela Hill.
Lost to Angela Hill.
My bad.
But that's kind of where I'm saying is that she is getting close to that ranked opponent.
And she's putting in work, too. No easy.
Which I guess means Ducote is as well. I mean, former Invicta champion, so I guess that's an easy
Ducote's been around a while. She's a name that people know in the strawweight division. Salty record, no, for sure. I mean, like I said, it's kind of hard. I mean, 1-2 in the UFC. Lost to Angela Hill, beat Jessica Pennant.
She was 11-5, but when she got to the UFC, 11-5 is kind of salty to show up with.
Agreed, 1,000% agreed. Also, 4-4 in Bellator. So Bellator is like the randomest people that they don't re-sign. Like, there's so many fighters who like have
she was 4-4 in Bellator.
Yeah,
and then she's the Invicta Women's was the Invicta Women's champion. So she was 7-1 outside of Bellator in the UFC.
Yeah,
that sounds good.
Well, I think that paints the perfect picture, though. Like, she's not going to beat the top girls, but it's like UFC caliber.
I was going to say UFC roster caliber. not
Yeah.
top 15.
Yeah, and Vegas saw it the same way. Dakota plus 125 favorite. Or
Honestly,
dog,
this
Godinez minus 145.
the Godinez here at minus 145 could have been a great parlay stacker if you were really feeling it. I wasn't personally.
Agreed.
I think the personal attachment to an OKC fighter kind of detracts from me ever wanting to bet against them necessarily as well.
Well,
But I think
see,
smart
this was
money
a
would have been
weird.
on Godinez here, just matchup stylistically as well.
This is a weird one where I was at the little kiosk placing my bets, and I got real close to pulling the trigger. Because in my head, I was like, Lupe Godinez is a better fighter than Dakota.
Right, like
And it
chill
was
out
almost
striker, and also like I think the grappling is probably a wash there.
great wrestling. Yeah, and so, but it was one of those things. Sometimes they let the money line like talk to me. I'm like, well, what does Vegas know? Like, why did they make this money line? And like that can be like a fucking head trip for gamblers out there. But sometimes I need to not do that.
I've gotten
Like,
pretty
but like,
good about ignoring that because I've gotten scorned by that so many times finally in the last like 6 years where I'm just like, oh, these lines are way too close. Like, you know what I've learned? They're doing that because they want that action. They literally know
yeah,
that it's a psychological game they're playing and they want that action. So you just gotta like put all that bullshit to the side and just be like, who do I like today?
no,
Like
you're
literally
1,000%
the
right.
day I went 5 for 5 and it was 4 dogs and a straight, I literally just looked at it and said, who do I like today? Fuck what Vegas has to say about it.
Yeah, no, that's a great. You got to trust your gut for sure. Now, get into this fight a little bit because I thought rounds 2 and 3 were razor close, but I also thought round one had a
Yeah.
easy winner. I thought Godinez won round one. It was her best round of the fight. It was the easiest round to score of the fight. The damage, the volume, the power, the accuracy. I mean, really, from a stand-up perspective, doing whatever she wanted, busting up Dakota, like really kind of just put together a great round, just pieced her up, did her thing. I mean, there was no like wow flash moment, but just steady fed her hands. And Dakota didn't have too much of an answer for it in round one.
It was like watching someone dance on rhythm and watching someone dance off rhythm. You know what I mean? Like it was they're both dancing. It was just Ducote was never there at the right times or moments. And
Yep.
in the meantime, Godinez was feeding her hands while she was walking
Feeding her
in.
hands. Steady diet of hands, 1,000% agree.
So
Now, round two,
so yeah, no, 10-9 to Lupi. You know what's crazy though, man, is like shout out to Ducote for the reads because in round two, completely different approach.
yeah, showed the experience, right? Showed that salty record, showed the learn from some mistakes in the past. Like, exactly, made some corrections, made some halftime adjustments, as we like to say as former football players. But that being said, man, looked 1,000 times better in round two than she looked in round one. Still gave the round to Godinez. The damage, really, the knees to the head were the deciding factor. You take out those knees to the head, I have no problem going to Cote. But for a very close round, Dakota never had a moment like those knee to the head, never had the damage like those knee to the head. Now, credit to Dakota for eating those knees to the head. Absolute dog.
Yeah, she ate him like pretty much didn't even look like she got hurt by him. However, I agree with you. I thought this. So the strike numbers I think that round were 42-41 in
So
favor of
close.
Dakota. But I thought
Razor
Angela,
close.
or I thought not Angela Hill. I thought Godinez was landing the harder strikes. So I mean, if you land one more punch, but I've landed the harder punches, and it's 42 to
Well, and
41.
knees to the head, like clean knees
That's
to the
what I
head.
mean. Like, you know, what's the
Yeah,
value of a jab versus a knee to the head? Like, how many jabs
that
is
was
one knee to the head? So it's like,
saw it the same way.
right.
1,000% agree.
So yeah, I went Godinez there. Now I did think that was a razor close round,
Very close round. Hard round to score. 1,000% agree.
and I also thought,
Um,
based on the judges sitting at different points in the octagon, that you could get at least one judge that gave that for sure to Dakota.
You know what? That I want to talk about. Like that was something I experienced at King of the Cage. I got a better understanding of like where you sit matters.
Greatly
Like
impacts how you see a fight.
it does. It does. Like I not that I didn't know that before, but just kind of like put it in my brain. Like just like yeah, like that shit matters. And like the little bars of the cage, you don't see every single thing.
Bro, those
Or
are
like
I
the
hate
cameraman.
that. The cameramen
Like
also fucking suck when they're moving around and shit.
shout out to the Silver Legacy. They had screens and shit. So like, because I had pretty seat, I was like 9 rows back.
Yeah,
I
you
had
were
pretty good
close.
seats, but like you know, like Silver Legacy, King of the Cage, they did the best they could, but it just reiterate, just put it at the forefront that like, yeah, like where you're sitting matters as far as like who wins a fight for sure.
I mean, to put it in the best perspective I think we can for people at home, think about this. The three commentators who, if you want to do pay-per-views, so we take the best of them, right? We take Anik, DC, Rogan. They literally are sitting 6 feet from the fighters. They get blood sprayed on them sometimes. They still have a monitor right in front of them so they can watch the fight from the omniscient angle rather than where they sit. Like imagine,
there was
you sit
times
that close
where, like,
and you still watch the monitor.
There'd be like a cameraman blocking me, but I'd hear the crowd go like, "Ooh!" I'm like, well, fuck! Like I can't score that. Like I can't score an ooh. Like I can use context clues, but you know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
It's a real thing, man. But let's dive into round 3 here. Another razor close round, and I think a round I have a little bit of a hot take on here.
I think there's
to see how you score it.
I think there's a stark contrast in. So Godinez takes over the numbers here in this round, but I actually thought Ducote was landing the more impactful strikes this round. I thought it was a weird change of pace. Like all of a sudden, she wasn't going for volume; she was going for quality over quantity. And then
That's another halftime adjustment. Which shout out to Ducote, like the fight IQ, the veteran, like making adjustments. I mean, it's what separates the main card fighters from the prelim fighters in a lot of cases. You know what I mean? It really does.
I was kind of struggling to score round 3, man. I didn't know which way I really was going to lean on it. What did you end up going with?
I gave it to Ducote, man. But like, here's kind of the part of my fugazi notes. Like, I literally have eye test in my notes. Like, I'm just liking what I'm seeing here from Ducote's work. You know, she was marching her down and landing. Now that's a caveman analysis. She was marching her down and landing. Now, Godinez had the significant strike numbers, also had a late takedown late in the round. So it's like, if you gave it to Godinez, you're not a crazy person. You may actually be a correct person.
Literally,
I gave it to Ducote.
Literally, the takedown at the end of the round is what gave me the 10-9 for Godinez on my card. Two judges agree with you. One judge agrees with me. So both judges do score that round. Now, that's what I think is crazy is no one gave her the second round. I thought rounds 2 and 3 were very much a toss-up.
Yes, I like essentially 2 coin flips.
And I also thought that meant Ducote has a chance to get a split decision loss or win here. Because they were very stylistically different.
The unanimous decision is like low-key a little wild.
And it was also like if you scored 2 for Godinez, you almost had to kind of reward Ducote for 3.
It was the same round, just in reverse. Like everything that you can set, every box that you checked for Godinez in 2, you checked for Ducote in 3. I guess Ducote got taken down. I think that takedown
literally was it. Like I said,
the end all be all.
Yeah, like I had it so even, and I was even saying to myself, like I think Ducote wins this just based on like octagon control. If I'm going to say this damage is even, and I didn't think the damage was necessarily even. I thought she was slightly ahead, but then the takedown with a little bit of ground. I thought Ducote
was ahead on the damage.
Me too.
Yeah, no, like you're not a crazy person. Like I said, I mean, the argument for Godinez makes more sense than my quote unquote eye test argument for Ducote. I do feel a little vindicated that the 2 judges agreed with me because there was something about Ducote's performance in round 3. Like I'm not just, I don't have my 405 colored glasses on.
Oh no, man! Like she was landing hard shots in round 3.
That being said, one judge goes 30-27, which there's a path to a 30-27. I don't hate it,
That's what I had.
Yeah, fair enough. And then 2 judges go 29-28 Godinez. Good win for Godinez. I thought that Vegas saw this one closer than I did. I guess I was riding Godinez's nuts a little too hard, but Vegas had this one pegged. Slight edge.
You know what? I'm with you that I thought Ducote should have been like a plus 160, and I thought Godinez was going to get like a minus 190. I'm obviously way off in those odds as like a prediction. And yeah, Vegas was right and I was wrong. It's pretty often that I say that, though, so I don't feel bad admitting that.
Yeah, no, these Nevada casinos don't build themselves, man. But we'll keep it pushing here because we got pretty dope coming, honestly. I guess all things considered, Anthony Hernandez take it minus 190. I was pretty interested that Vegas was. I mean, that's essentially 2-1, like pretty heavy favor from Vegas. And then Shahbazyan, plus 160. He's still only 25. He's fought in high level competition, stacked plenty of L's though.
Okay, wait.
And like,
Will you do me and the audience at home a very quick favor?
love to.
Will you read us Edmen Shahbazyan's UFC record, his opponents, and like the results of those fights in order?
Yeah, so he's 5-4 in the UFC, and there's a whole lot of red on the Tapology. He has. So I'll go back to 2019. He has the win over Brad Tavares, which was considered a good win at the time. Got a lot of hype on his name. Then he has the Derek Brunson L, which was just like one-sided, like Shahbazyan couldn't wrestle or grapple at all, pure striker. Then they give him Hermanson, who has a very similar skill set to Brunson. Probably a better striker than Brunson, I'd say, but whatever. Another decision loss. Gave him a Mavov, who another guy that'll wrestle you, lost. Then they give him a way downgrade in competition to Dalcha Lungiambolo, who is like barely UFC caliber. And he looks great against Dalcha, but like, what is that really saying? And then he gets the Anthony Hernandez matchup. And like Anthony Hernandez is kind of the opposite, man. Like all Anthony Hernandez does is win, but like something about my mind's eye viewed him as like a lower name than Shahbazyan, but like the exact opposite when you go to Hernandez's Tapology. I mean, he hasn't lost to Holland back in 2020, but he hasn't lost since. Win over Rodolfo Vieira.
Well,
He's the one who subbed Vieira,
and he got
which was impressive
10-8.
as
He
fuck.
got 10-8 in the first, and then came back, and because Adolfo gassed himself from
Yep.
trying to sub him, and he couldn't sub him, so his submissions defense is obviously crazy good. Yeah, this was a fight where the reason I wanted you to read Shahbazyan's record and all that is because, man, I don't think he needs to be in the UFC anymore. That might be a hot take, but I think he needs to go develop his skills, man, because he gets beat up when he loses.
He's still young, and like he could have a lot of success in a lower promotion,
right?
Like Bellator, PFL,
and actually build himself the right way. Like I think they threw him into it too young, and he's getting just cannibalized.
Probably make better money too, potentially. Yeah, no, I don't hate that take. That being said, man, round one was an absolute banger, and I gave it to Shahbazyan. It was things where both men had sub attempts that were decently close, and then both men won positions. I thought Shahbazyan's damage at the start of the round was the most impactful moment of the round. A lot of the later parts of the round were so 50-50 and scrambles and each guy having success that the only guy that really had a moment of separation in the round, albeit at the start of the round, was Shahbazyan. But it was a hell of a round, entertaining as fuck.
So I'm super stoked to hear you say that because I scored it the same way, and I actually started to question myself near the end of the round because Hernandez was so dominant in controlling the end of the round and throwing up subs whenever he wanted to throw them. It was like it almost looked like 3 minutes were Shahbazyan's, and he was like crushing it. It looked like a world beater striker, like was literally picking Hernandez apart. But Hernandez has a great chin, and then as soon as it got to the ground battle, Hernandez was like, I mean, it was a maestro and a guy that has no reason being there.
Dude, I'll push back on that a little bit. I mean, Hernandez won the ground battle, but like I said, I mean, Shahbazyan won a couple positions, got a couple sub attempts off. Like it wasn't fish out of water. Like especially compared to like how Shahbazyan looked in the Brunson fight or the Amavov fight. Like I thought he looked better. I mean, maybe I'm being too nice here, but like I thought he looked better. He won a couple positions. Like it wasn't one-way traffic on the ground.
I thought his ability to scramble was great. I will give him that.
It was great. It was much better, much improved. 1,000%. I guess that's really all I'm saying. But
also his cardio was ass cheeks, man. What the fuck was that? After like 4 minutes, he like literally was done.
Yeah, he's young.
Well, there was an excuse for that. It's the same weight class. It's not like he's dropping extra weight now.
I agree. Any excuse?
Oh, guess what?
You could argue.
Guess what? He trains in Vegas, so it's not like he's changing elevation or flying to a new city.
Yeah, agreed with all those statements, man. Also, I think I'm going to Vegas end of June for my birthday.
Let's
go.
Does he have jitters? Does he have jitters? No. Why? He can't have jitters. He's fought how many times? 7.
Well, it's not great getting 10-8 in round two because I gave Hernandez 10-8. Man, it was bell
I
to
did
bell
too.
domination.
I did too.
There was the standing elbows. There was the two takedowns. And I forget if it was two or three, but the point is there was multiple deep choke attempts that was a nut hair away, which credit to Shahbazyan for battling and kind of, I think in the past, those sub attempts would have finished him. And then the ground and pound elbows at the end of the round were gnarly. There was damage, there was dominance, there was duration. However you want to slice it. I mean, you gave it 10-8, right?
Absolutely. And so did all three judges.
Yeah, have to. I mean, that was an ass whooping.
You
And
know,
the writing was on the wall. The writing was on the wall for three.
it's almost like in like modern day MMA scoring, if everyone on Earth agrees to 10-8, it should just automatically be like a 10-7. Like that's almost like the unwritten rule.
Yeah.
Like you got dominated so bad, it was so obvious it was a 10-8 that it's almost like a 10-7.
Don't hate that take. Don't hate that take. Round three, like I said, the writing was on the wall. Ground and pound elbows, TKO. Shahbazyan was really done in two. I mean, after arguably winning round one, it's hard to say the corner should have thrown in the towel after two. But
no, I wrote that. I said the corner needs to throw the
right,
towel
you
in.
got that vibe.
The corner
you got
needs
that
to
vibe.
save
Like
him.
it was a wrap.
Bro, he was just getting beat up. He wasn't even like defending like from the damage. It was so gross. It was terrible.
Well, I'm glad I'm not like you're on an island on that take because like watching live, I was like, corner's probably throwing the towel. Like,
well,
just the vibe. I was good.
And Herb Dean told him after the second round, like, you have to defend yourself and like fight back, or I will stop this fight. Like, if the ref is telling you that at the end of a round, it's essentially he's telling you like, I could have stopped this fight, I didn't. Don't let me look bad.
I think you can give terrible. Hernandez. I think Hernandez Brennan Allen's a sick fight.
I think he smokes Brennan Allen.
But that's a great win, though. That gets him like in the rankings, in the conversation.
Oh, is Brennan Allen 15?
Brennan Allen's 13, dude.
Where have I been? That's crazy.
Chris Curtis at 14. You could do that as well. I think he beats Chris Curtis.
I think he beats Chris Curtis as well. I think Fluffy has like, well, I don't know. Curtis has those nice short hooks like in tight.
And Fluffy always eats damage at the first round,
he
too.
Always eats damage.
Curtis has finishing power. That'd be a fun fight. That'd be a heater.
Yeah, it would be. Yeah, well, Fluffy's a weird guy because he eats so much damage early. Like, he needs to starting. He can't be a slow starter and win a belt.
4-5 win streak. 4-5 win streak, though. Like, something's got to give, dude. There's only so many reasons not to give a guy an opportunity.
Yeah, like, but I hate to use this example because I already used him once for a different reason, but, like, Cerrone is a great example. Like, he got as high as, I think, ranked number 4 in the world in his weight class, but, man, slow starters only get so far because, like, those top-end guys will just pick you apart in the first.
And maybe I'm wrong, and maybe this is a disrespectful statement, but maybe I'm wrong. I think if you go to Hernandez and it's like, hey, you can be number 4 in the world, like, at your peak, I think he takes that. Like,
oh, yeah. I agree.
You know what I'm saying?
I
think he would disagree. But if he's like keeping it a buck,
yeah, if he was keeping it a buck, like you could read his thoughts.
For sure. Like no disrespect, we love you, Fluffy. We're hell of impressed, and I think that's actually a nice thing to say. 4 in the world. I mean, like that's no slouch. But man, I guess we got this main event we got to get to, man. It was a weird main event. Not necessarily what you think of when you think of a main event, but it was the apex after all. We got Mackenzie Dern, minus 155, 8th ranked strawweight in the world, coming off the shit. She shit the bed in her last fight, right? That's why everybody, like, she's fighting this level against Yanjian, right? If I'm not mistaken, pulling it up. So, yeah, lost. I guess it was a majority decision, so it wasn't too horrible. And lost a decision to Marina Rodriguez. But I think that she only won a split decision over Tisha Torres. So it's just, she never just really comes out. Like,
unless she gets a sub finish, like, her decisions are so murky.
Yep. And the caliber of Jandy Roba aside, the caliber of fighter that she was finishing is not the top caliber of fighter. So 100%. Now that she's fighting the top, echelon.
And Jandy Roba played that game with her.
Yeah, which makes sense because Jandy Roba's a grappler. I mean, that makes sense. But yeah, so we got striker versus grappler here. She's taking on the 38-year-old Angela Hill, who has a salty 15-12 record, plus 135 dog, ranked number 14 in the strawweight division. And I actually did a little sprinkle on Hill, but I was a dumb bet because my only logic was like the whole Dern had been talking about the divorce and the kind of having some distractions in camp. I pretty much that was my whole logic. I don't really have anything else. Like I thought Dern was gonna. She's been kind of a head case in the past. I thought that she was going to be distracted. Maybe had a tough weight cut, a lot going on mentally. I thought she wouldn't perform well. I was wrong.
I was a little surprised by this too. I think she came out like almost angry, like almost like emotionally charged, which was pretty crazy to see. And I almost thought, not
got a
almost
knockdown in round one.
I definitely thought she was going to gas herself out with that pace, and she did not. She maintained a great cardio for 25 minutes. I mean, no spoilers there. This is a decision, but it's a very clear decision at that.
Yeah, no, for
also,
sure.
Her total strikes landed 247. If I told you that was the number for either girl in this fight, who would you assume landed that many strikes?
Oh, Angela Hill, the volume striker.
100%.
But yeah, that's the thing. She beat Angela Hill at her own game, and then obviously when it got to the ground, she was in the clinch. She was the bigger, stronger fighter. She beat the fuck out of Angela Hill, man. Like just damage-wise, the face. It was like almost Joanna Whaley. Like her head was starting to like change shapes. Like she was almost unrecognizable, dude. Like seriously, like Angela Hill looked like a different human being at the start of the fifth round. It was pretty gnarly. Now that being said, gave Angela Hill a round, man. I gave her round two.
Yeah, round two, she battled back. Every judge gave her round two as well. I thought that was pretty clear she won round two.
Control the clinch strikes.
Now, did you go 10-8 in round one before we skip over that?
No, I didn't. I mean, there's a knockdown, so I don't hate the logic. Just eye test didn't feel like a 10-8. The top control, I mean, she got some ground and pound off. Like, honestly, my notes sound like I'm describing a 10-8. I just in the moment wasn't feeling a 10-8.
So I didn't go 10-8 either. One judge did, two judges didn't. But I almost feel bad when I look at my scorecard the rest of the way because I'm like, I have 10-8s, and I feel like one is in the same category as the other ones I have. So I'm like, man.
Well, let's get to that because I only went 10-8 in round three. The standing knee, the ground and pound, and the sub attempt was like too much to overlook. There was big flashy moments. There also, was duration.
Dern got credited with no official sub attempts in this fight, but had, I swear, like
out
6.
Of line.
And like 2 or 3 arm bars that were so deep.
Sub attempt in round three, definitely 1,000% should count. That's the only round I note sub attempts. So if I was going to give her any, I'd give her.
Ends with her on Angela Hill's arm as well, and Angela Hill holding her arm for 12 seconds like this.
You're right. Yeah, that's an attempt for sure.
Like, bro, if I'm having to hold my arms like this, I'm getting punched in my face, and you're cranking on my arm, like, sounds like you're about to attempt to armbar me.
Yeah, no, I agree.
What else are you doing?
The feet were over the head. The legs were over, like that's an armbar attempt.
Like, what else are you doing in that position?
Attempting an armbar. No, I agree.
I thought that was weird when I saw it credited with 0 sub attempts.
I think round 4 of this fight is maybe the best striking we've ever seen out of Mackenzie Dern in her UFC career. I mean, she is giving it to Angela Hill on the feet, strictly on the feet, not even looking like she's trying to get it to the ground. I mean, just out kickboxing Angela Hill, who's known as a striker. Impressive, man.
I think Angela Hill was pretty beat up at that point, too. Pretty gassed out, pretty beat up.
Well, and pretty much just done, right? Like Angela Hill.
So I gave round 5 a 10-8 as well, but it wasn't even Dern's best round. It was just that Angela Hill was just done. I mean, she was just getting beat.
Yeah, and honestly, I think I held Mackenzie Dern. Who was that on the prelims? That the opponent, Urbina, right? Urbina, he smelled blood in the water and went for the kill. He had his opponent hurt and finished him. Dern did not. I don't hate your 10-8 in round 5, but it was almost like I was waiting for that, like, really, like, just brutal, savage nat.
I
Because
feel it.
because a savage gets Angela Hill out of there. You know what I'm
I
saying?
agree with you. I agree
I
with you.
know it's strawweight women, and I know we're not talking about Francis Ngannou here, but, like,
But I'm saying, like, if you get someone
Hill's
out of
life
there, like,
bar was, like, all the way down.
yeah, I guess my counter argument to that would be like, if you get someone out of there, you don't even need to score it. So, how close? Like, and I thought she was close to getting her out of there.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, no, I think I have like a skewed, like I expected more in round 5. Maybe I'm just an asshole. I just like wanted I'm the fucking
Well,
Jeff Bleed guy.
that's what I was meaning when I said earlier. Like, if I gave round 5 a 10-8, I feel like I need to give round 1 a 10-8 because I thought round 1 was
And I
like
gave
more
neither a
damage.
10-8, so at least I'm
Yeah, at least you
consistent.
had consistency. Yeah, I agree with you.
No, for sure, dude. So yeah, one judge went 49-43, which is a hell of a scorecard.
That's just an
What is that?
ass whooping.
Is that 2 or 3 10-8s? What's the math on that?
Three 10-8s, one 10-9,
Oh,
and then a 9-10. If you're looking at it from Dern's perspective.
yeah, 3 10-8s. So they went 1 3 and 5 10-8. I mean, there's an argument for it. I don't necessarily agree, but there's an argument for it. And then the other two judges went 49-44. So every judge had at least 2 10-8s. So I'm on an island with my 1 10-8. I mean, it was an ass whooping, and I did bet Angela Hill, and I am an Angela Hill fan. So I mean, I acknowledge those biases. I mean, she's a dog. She never quit, but fuck, dude. I mean, she's 15-13. She's 10-13 in the UFC. Whole lot of
She
red.
maybe should retire.
It's the thing where she like every L is to a top 10 girl, but there's a whole lot of them. Whole lot of them.
Well, I also think she might be getting
She's
close to
lost.
that point
She's
where
lost to like almost I'm not like zero hyperbole. She's lost to I think the whole top 10 or like almost damn close to like 8 out of 10. Like it's on one hand an impressive resume. On the other hand, it's like it ain't happening.
I think it's a lot.
Like,
I think it's a lot of dry roads.
but I'm glad she has her post-fight career lined up. She gets on the desk. She's good on the mic. She has her podcast. She does good content. Like, I mean, I'm rooting for her, like, as a human, but just, like, emotions aside, fandom aside, liking her personality aside, future in the division, probably time to hang it up. 38 years old, too. Like, there's nothing two main events now, checked a lot of boxes, fought the best in the world, made some money. Like, I don't think it's, like, disrespectful to say, like, probably time to hang it up.
Yeah, I fully agree with you, man. I think that's like the point of Angela Hill's career that we're at, and I think that's
And then
it's just people got to take that's just understood. Like when you get to that age, you lose a step, and when you do, maybe it's time to step back.
Dern with the Rose Namajunas call out. Don't hate it.
Kind of like it. Kind of like it. It's like prime time to take that call out. Really
makes some sense. Rose has been pretty quiet lately. She already Lemos is getting the title shot. I don't hate the Rose call out. Now, will that fight happen? I kind of consider Rose like semi-retired at this point. Like she's MIA, right? She's MIA. She hasn't been in a headline. She hasn't been in any conversations. She hasn't had any fight announcements or even any rumors of fight announcements.
I think that's why it's a good call out.
I think she's on the fucking side of a milk jug, but you're right because it's like fight me or retire or what are we doing?
Like respond to me at least, and like UFC, if she's not going to fight me, like eventually her inactivity is going to get her removed, and like that's just one more spot at the rankings you move.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, she's already fought Yan Jinan, and I don't think Andrade is really trying to make 115, or maybe she is. Who fucking knows? Carla Esparza doesn't have anything lined up, but I mean, why would you give her 1 when you can give her 2 and it'd be a bigger fight? So I don't see the point in giving her Carla. So yeah, I mean, you could do Dern. That's a big fight, man. I mean, Dern just jumped to 1 spot to 7, so that's 7 versus 2. You could do it. Fight night main event.
You could do it. All right.
Or do you think that's on a pay-per-view because it's Rose?
I think it's a pay-per-view. And
Okay,
Dern.
all right.
I think the names sell. All right, last question because then I gotta get to sleep before I wake up.
Yeah. Sorry, dude.
Oh no, you're good. Albazi minus 125. Cara France plus
Oh, so he's the
105.
favorite. Oh, yeah, I'm in Mark. I'm going to take the plus money.
Yeah, I
I thought
know.
for sure. I thought Albazi would be a dog for sure.
God, Vegas is too
They're
with us. Like
sniping us.
we literally talked about this off air about how we thought Albazi would be the underdog, so it was a great pick. And now we're sitting here. Honestly, I'll take Cara France at plus money though. I'm not mad about that.
Oh, 1,000%. What's the odds on Altamirano Elliott?
Elliott minus 155, Altamirano plus 130. Elliott coming off that brutal divorce.
Yes, and the value monster. Altamirano's a savage striker. Like
So
a
we're
these
gonna
Mexican
fade
strikers.
Elliott.
Yes, 1,000% yes. And Kudaladze Malarkey, I'm fading Malarkey hard.
Oh, I think Kudaladze KO is big time there.
Me too.
Big
Like we
time.
could even bet like buy KO, like get that juice. I agree.
Like Kudaladze has a win over Gamrot.
Yes, he does.
That's...
No, absolute dog. Oh, Arlovsky over Dontel Mays is a lock too. I'll say that with like my nuts out.
I also liked Grishin over Linz.
You do? Okay, I'll ride with you on that. I didn't have a hot take on that, but I'll ride with you on that. Fuck yeah.
I like that one.
Okay. That's our beefy picks for next week. Stay locked in with this. Let us know if you win any money off it. But yeah, that wraps up episode 131. Harrison got to get some sleep. And man, check out the rest of the videos on our channel. We do not miss a card. We do not miss a fight. Check out our prelims of this episode. Like this video, subscribe. If you're the type of UFC fan who watches the prelims, watches every single fight, every single card, even the fight nights, like we're the show for you. Like that's same as us. That's what we like to get into.
Yes, sir. Every card, every fight. We will see you guys. I guess we're off next week, and then we have we're back.
Car France Albazi.